everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we are making my favorite vegan tortilla soup. I have literally been making this soup for 30 years, so since I was like 5. I was never really great at math. But it has evolved with me since I used to be a meat eater, to vegetarian, and to now vegan. And honestly, this is my favorite version yet. It's really good. What I love about this soup is that I almost always have everything that I need already in my pantry, except for maybe the fresh cilantro that we'll add later. So just grab some of that. And I can make it, put it in the fridge, and have meals for 2 or 3 days. Or it freezes really well too. So I think you'll really love it. Let's just jump in and get started. All you're going to need is a large soup pot and an immersion blender. These are really handy for making soups, but if you don't have one, you can do it in the blender, but you'll likely have to do it in batches. So you'll probably want a second big pot to put your batches in. So that's the only thing you'll need if you don't have an immersion blender. Okay, so let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 10 cups of water to my pot. And what's great about this too, you just have your pot here. We're going to throw everything in the pot and then cook it. So it's really easy prep. 10 cups of water. Now it looks like I'm using a really big pot, but it'll fill up a little, about halfway with this, and then I want room for the blending so it doesn't splatter. To our water, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of veggie broth. This is the paste style, which is what I like to use. If you don't have this kind, you just have the bouillon cubes, just use the equivalent of 3 teaspoons, which I think would be 3 bouillons. 1 tablespoon of cumin, 4 chopped garlic cloves, and then I'm going to add 1 small chipotle pepper. And remember, these are the chipotle peppers in adobo sauce that you get in a can in the Hispanic section of the grocery store. Keep these in the cupboard all the time. They're great. I do say small because I have used more, but it does get spicy, surprisingly. So you don't have to chop it up. It's going to cook and soften, and then we'll be blending it with our blender. Just touch the ends and make sure that you don't have a stem attached, and then wash your hands. Then we're just going to add 1 can, you know, the regular 15 ounce of just chopped tomatoes, plain. And then using your favorite salsa, now this is going to partially determine the heat level of your soup. You're going to fill that tomato can with salsa. The salsa that I use is a medium salsa, and it's with that and the chipotle pepper, it's a little bit spicy, but perfect, I think. But use mild if you're worried about that. 1 can of salsa. And then as a thickening agent, as well as for flavor, I'm going to chop up 3 corn tortillas. These are kind of a little bit larger ones. If you're using the ones that are a little bit smaller, add a 4th one. Put those all in your pot. See how easy? You just chop everything, put it in your pot.
What, like it's hard?
Now lastly, for this stage at least, we're going to chop and add 3 red bell peppers. You can use other colors. I just wouldn't use green just because of the coloring that we want and the flavor. The red is the best. If you're going to do another color, maybe orange would be okay, red and orange. I like to use 3 red bell peppers, 1 large onion, you know, good size onion. I'm going to chop these into just, you know, 3/4 inch cubes or so they're all fairly even for cooking, and put everything in the pot. And if you've watched my other videos using red bell peppers, you'll remember how I like to initially chop them to get the membrane and the seeds away easily, is I just go down each side. You got your clean slices and your membrane and seeds intact, ready to just throw away. And I'm just going to chop these up. Okay, so the next thing, we've got our bell pepper and our onions all chopped. Now we're just going to add these to the pot. So we've added everything to the pot. I'm just going to give it a little stir to blend in the veggie broth paste. All you're going to do is bring it to the stove, bring it to a boil and simmer it uncovered for 20 minutes. And then with your immersion blender or your blender, you're gonna blend it until it's pretty smooth. It's okay if it's a little bit chunky. And then at that point, we'll come back and add our final ingredients. Okay, so our soup has been simmering for 20 minutes. We've blended it till it's just about smooth, and now we're gonna add our last ingredients, which are 1 can of black beans, drained and rinsed, 1 cup of corn kernels. I just use frozen corn kernels that I've let thaw, and then a half a bunch of cilantro, big handful, chopped, and then we'll put that in. You can use the other half of your bunch to make our cilantro jalapeno dressing from the last video. So we're just gonna add this. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper now. You could add more later. I usually start with about a teaspoon of salt. I don't like to over salt things. And some pepper. And now we're going to stir this in, bring it back to a simmer for literally just 2 or 3 minutes just to heat the corn and the beans through, and then we're done. We'll give it a taste at that point. Okay, so our soup is done. Let's give it a taste. You don't need to, but I like to put some tortilla chips in the bottom of my bowl. I kind of like to crunch them up a little bit so they're nice bite-sized pieces. Now this makes a lot. It would easily serve. I'm going to put this as a half cup ladle, and for one of these big dinner size bowls, I usually put 3, so that's a cup and a half. This will easily serve 8 really nicely for big dinner size bowls. And sometimes if I have some of my nacho cheese in the fridge that we made in a previous video, I'll add 1/4 cup to the mix at the end when I'm warming up the beans. If you really want it to be spicy, that adds a little extra something. This is also a really great recipe to make ahead the day before, because as it sits in the fridge, it actually thickens up and is a really great texture. The flavors marry and it tastes even better the next day. So you can make it ahead, super easy just to reheat in your pot on the stove. Let me give it a try. And what's nice is we've blended a lot of it, so it's got a nice creamy texture, but then it also has the chunk of the corn and the beans, which gives it a nice bite. Now, if somebody tries to tell you that you need to have chicken in this vegan tortilla soup, you just tell them.
No soup for you!
But it's really good. I'm trying to determine the spice level. A little bit spicy, but perfect. That's why really, I used a medium salsa and just a small chipotle pepper. Perfect. I love it. So I hope you'll give it a try. Thanks for watching. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You could also check us out on Facebook at No Bones Life and our website, noboneslife.com, where you will find the downloadable recipe for this and also all of our other videos and recipes, as well as products and t-shirts. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.